Hello, and welcome to Ms. PM Reads, where we are starting a new book. It is Abscond by GG Wagner, and it has the subtitle, The Samuel's Gate Series. So I would assume there's more books coming out with this, but this, I believe, is the first one. All right, we are going to jump right in. There's no preface, there's no intro. So here we go. And this looks to be a modern Christian fiction. So hang on to your hats. All right. The title, Anticipation. A shiver ran up Lizzie's spine as the collective hair on her arms stood on end. She willed her feet to move, shuffling with the same ease as if walking in quicksand. The car that had just passed, with paint resembling the texture of an orange peel, was idling on the side of the road directly in her path. The driver's head turned and she recognized the profile. It was the neighbor from down the street. Lizzie heard the voice low and almost breathy through the open window. "Where are you going?" She watched him with a sideways glance, her eyes scouring between him and the neighborhood. A tattered curtain in a window across the street separated just enough to reveal a shadow just before her attention averted to the rowdy group of 20-somethings sitting on a graffiti-covered transformer. Their faces, not quite obscured by their intermittent puffs of smoke, leered in her direction. A brown box truck approached at a speed she could only speculate was reckless when her hair whipped across her eyes and her body prickled in its aftermath. In a matter of minutes, the determined grit she had left her house with was gone. Her shoulders drooped as her lungs deflated and she turned to the waiting neighbor. His stare, fixed on the horizon, took a considerable amount of effort to raise her voice over the symphony of barking dogs. "The mall. Get in." The abruptness of his voice prompted Lizzie to comply. She buckled the seatbelt, shifting her shoulders to face the door. Her eyes darted between the passing landscape and the reflection in the window, capturing Mr. Heatherman's ruddy-cheeked face. He slowed at the stop sign. Lizzie concentrated on the sound of the rhythmic blinker in an attempt to bring her heart into a more normal beat. It didn't matter how many times she had done it in the past. Getting into a strange car always gave her that same feeling. The car made the turn onto Lee Highway, and she glanced over her shoulder, the street sign hidden beneath the underbrush, with only a letter or two of the name visible. Oasis. But she knew better. There was no need to be in a hurry now. The unexpected ride had made Lizzie early, and Rory would inevitably be late. She just couldn't help herself. Lizzie's steps became more intentional as she found a comfortable opening. Steps, okay, in the cluster of shoppers. Oh, it must be she's been dropped off. Her pace was steady while she allowed her eyes to scan ahead. She lengthened her neck in a vain attempt to see over the crowd and caught the glimpse of a woman in a familiar jacket passing by on the level above. A knot formed in her stomach. Lizzie could feel her heart quicken as she approached the landing. The pulsating stairs moved beneath her feet while she began to formulate a plan, concentrating on closing the gap. The frail-looking woman, separated by a few steps, turned her head in Lizzie's direction. A breath escaped from Lizzie's pursed lips. Relief settled over her, even if it was only temporary. The kind eyes and full smile did not belong to her mother. Making her way to the rail, Lizzie searched in every direction as far as she could see before moving on. The corridor leading to the parking garage was echoing with a distorted murmur generated by the mall shoppers' voices. Lizzie's hand hovered just above the door handle, mustering all the courage she could fit into her petite 5'4", 95-pound frame before pushing the heavy door. Lizzie squared her shoulders and put on her fight face. The garage was separated from the building next door by only an alley, a territory long ago surrendered by the outmanned and overwhelmed mall security officers. The health department's newest program, Needle Exchange, had inadvertently flooded every dark corner within a 5-block radius with drug-related crime, and the air here smelled of body odor of unknown origins. Lizzie attempted to find a clear path around the ground covered with dirty needles and nearly ran into an approaching vagrant that reeked of alcohol. She sidestepped to avoid his advances. His words were slow and slurred, as were his reflexes. Come on now, don't be like that. It had been a few days since her mom made it home, a pattern all too familiar. Soon she would be coming out of her drug-induced fog, remembering she had a daughter. Lizzie continued her quest, selfish as it was, but needed to know where she could avoid, should avoid once Rory arrived. The dim lights overhead cast a slight glow on the shadowy figures, none of which were her mom. The faces barely resembled human beings at all. They were more like zombies, satisfying an urge to fill the appetite of their addiction. Meandering through the faded yellow lines, she clenched her jaw. Senses heightened, came upon a sporadic parked car. She diverted her stare too late, the eyes beneath dark lenses rising to meet hers. With hunched shoulders, she ran away, but not before she saw the driver turn in his seat to ogle her. Ogle? You know. Satisfied that her mom was not there, Lizzie slipped back inside. The heavy door closing behind her sealed out that all too familiar part of her life she worked so hard to hide from Rory. She plopped on the bench closest to the artificial waterfall, willing her thoughts to be numbed by the rumbling coming of the flowing water. It sputtered with a deafening force into the basin, and Lizzie squeezed her eyes tight, biting her bottom lip, silently cursing her falling tears. The vibration from her phone interrupted Lizzie's thoughts. She brought the tears from her cheeks and focused on the screen. Her fingers glided over the keyboard to tap out a response. It's okay, haven't been here long. Staring at the screen, dots dancing in the bubble indicating Rory was typing, Lizzie took a few deep breaths as she waited. Just now leaving, waiting to see Caleb after his scrimmage game. He asked me out. Tell you all about it when I get there. You can get us a table at the food court. See you in about 20 minutes. Love you, girl. Listen, I have a teenager. That sounds so, yes. No, I don't have a teenager. I have a teenage granddaughter, but still, that sounds so on point. Lizzie smiled at the screen, responding with a smiling face and heart emoji. She checked the time before putting her phone away, and her empty stomach gurgled in protest for the wait. Her eyes closed briefly as her nose followed the aroma of fresh baked bread and knew it had to be coming from the food court. She slipped her hand into her purse and allowed her fingers to take a blind inventory of the contents, while the escalator moved her steadily closer to the mouth-watering smell. Her body tensed, and she foraged back through each item in her bag before uttering, "Oh no, oh no, oh no, no, no." That was not at all TikTok funny. The tension broke with an explosion of nervous laughter when she ran her fingers across the familiar softness of her quilted wallet and secured it beneath the zipper. The tables in the food court were filled with a few people at a time. Lizzie swallowed hard, suddenly aware of how dry her throat was, and she rubbed her sweaty palms together. She scrutinized the people emerging from the escalator and tried not to get upset. If she'd taken the bus like originally planned, she would just now be getting here, and Rory's lateness wouldn't be an issue. As she checked her phone for the time again, she relaxed, knowing that Rory would be here soon, and decided this would be a good time to check in with Tara. Finding a quiet spot out of the way, she scrolled through her favorites and tapped Tara's name, waiting to hear her voice. Instead, she found herself talking to Danny. I am not a goofball, and why are you answering your wife's phone? Shouldn't you be working on your sermon for church tomorrow? Rory invited a bunch of girls from the cheer squad. She told them how awesome our student worship time was. That's great. Lizzie was certain she could hear his smile in reply. I've already got it ready, and I'll do my best not to embarrass you both. We're across town for a meeting, and Tara is filling out paperwork, but I'll take that over if you need to talk to her. See you tomorrow. Hey, Lizzie, what a nice distraction. Tara's voice, filled with joy, warmed Lizzie's heart. My hand needed a break. I think I'm going to ask for a copy of these forms and publish my memoir. Enough about me. What are you up to? I'm at the mall waiting for Rory. We're making a day of it. Lizzie's eyes scanned the area while she talked. Still no sign of Rory. She masked her disappointment with a light-hearted jab. If you publish a book, I'll buy it, but only if you include all the embarrassing stories about Danny. That's a deal. Lizzie couldn't help smiling now. Tara's laughter was infectious. I was planning on calling you later. Do you need a ride to church tomorrow? Tara asked. And we're going to stop there. I tried to keep the videos not too terribly long, so it's likely that most of these chapters will be split into 2 videos. Okay, well, we're meeting our characters, and we'll see how it goes. I hope Rory's okay. She's awfully late. All right, you guys. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.